Shalom, everyone. Oh, yeah, you're hearing me well. This is gonna be an episode in English. Finally. For those who remember a few months back, I asked the question on my Instagram like, do you think I should do some episodes in English? And I did get some feedback. Most of you said yes. But I postponed the idea. I don't know why. But the urge stayed that I wanted. I wanted to do an episode in English. And not because I want to change my podcast or not because I want to move away from who I am or from my French speaking audience, but because language matters to me. I love languages. I love what they allow me to express differently. I'm a whole lot of girl in English. And I also know that some of you listen to this podcast quietly from other countries in other languages. So I guess this is my way of reaching out to the whole world. So this episode is kind of my way of creating more connection, more bridges, more sharing. Because sometimes certain thoughts need a different language. Yeah, they just need it. And this episode does need other languages. You know, my podcast started as a very, very personal space, like a therapy. A place where I spoke to survive, to understand, to heal. And over this past year, something shifted. Something really, really shifted. And not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly inside of me. I realized that healing doesn't only change what you feel, it also changes what you share and with whom. And that's where this episode is really about. On today's episode, we're going to talk about healing and about how not everyone deserves to be part of your healing. Because when you first start healing, I've been doing this work for a couple of years now. You need to talk. You need to talk a lot. You need to explain everything that happened to you. You need to put words on what hurts, because silence feels dangerous. Keeping things inside feels like disappearing completely. So you open up and you share your story, and you give access to people. And that's not wrong. It's a form of survival. But then there comes a moment in the healing process where you need something else. Something else is required. Not more words, but more discernment. And I reached a point where I understood that not everyone who listens is actually listening for the right reasons. And that awareness came from clarity. I see clear now. I see people clearly now. Because healing, it doesn't just softens you, it sharpens you. It teaches you when to open and when to close. You know, you're setting the boundaries for yourself. And that's when I began to understand that some forms of distance, they're not emotional shutdowns, they are protection. You choose to protect yourself. You choose to protect your healing. Because there's a part of this whole healing process that no conversation can fully explain. I've been talking to you guys for this past year and sharing, but you don't know half of it, actually. Even in therapy, there's a part that just cannot always be reached. Because there's a part that doesn't respond to logic, to timelines, to reassurance. Because what I learned is that healing is not only emotional. It's not only psychological. To me, it's spiritual. Because for the longest time, I believed that when people disappeared from my life, it meant that I had failed. I had failed. I hadn't been patient enough, or kind enough, or understanding enough. I thought that maybe if I had loved better, more, if I explained more, if I stayed softer, longer, things would have lasted. But healing, and faith for that matter, taught me something else. It taught me that sometimes God doesn't remove people to punish you. He removes them to protect you. And there's no warning sign. There's not always clean closure. There's just distance. Distance. And at first, the distance, it seems so brutal. For someone who's sensitive like me, it feels so brutal. Because we are attached. I get attached. And not only to people. It's also habits, familiarity, things that we already know. Even when it hurts us. We often confuse closeness with love, attachment with love, and separation with rejection. But it's not. Not every distance is rejection, and not every ending is a loss. It's not. That's what I've learned of this past year. Sometimes distance is mercy. Is mercy. Because some people are not bad, not evil, or not intentionally harmful. But they're just not meant to walk with this healed version of you. With this way God is shaping you. And we insist. We insist on keeping everyone close and carry everyone with us. But we're delaying. We are delaying our own healing, our own alignment. Because growth, change, healing requires space. And protection often requires silence. Because God's protection is quiet. It's quiet. It simply removes what no longer serves our peace. And in that silence, something shifts. Because I started hearing myself again. I started relaxing more. My body was more relaxed. my intuition became clearer. I stopped performing. I just stopped performing for others, and I started living for myself. I started living for myself, finally. I used to believe that being a good person meant that you had to stay, how I'm gonna say it, accessible. Yeah, that faith that meant endurance at all costs. If you have faith, you have sabr. You have patience. Love meant explaining myself all the time to everyone until I was completely exhausted and I didn't know who I was anymore. But real healing taught me something else, something deeper. Sometimes faith looks like accepting distance without reopening the door. Sometimes obedience looks like letting go, just letting go. And sometimes peace is God's way of saying, trust me, I am protecting you, even if you don't understand it yet. The whole concept of tawakkul, again. So, not every loss is a failure. We have to stop thinking that. Not every separation is a mistake. It's not. And not every silence is empty. I felt heavier silences than that you can imagine. Some silences are sacred, and some distances are divine protection. There's another truth healing taught me, and that was the hardest to accept. Yeah, it was the hardest to accept, because being this sensitive person, always giving, always wanting more for others and doing for others, and not everyone who stays close to you does so with good intentions. I have learned that over the past year. Not everyone who stays close to you does so with good intentions. And I don't mean obvious cruelty or something. I don't mean evil. I mean something quieter, more subtle, more disturbing. Though some people are just drawn to broken people because brokenness makes them feel better about themselves. People thrive when you're feeling at your lowest. Can you imagine? I have learned that in the past few years. People loved to see me miserable. They loved it. Those people don't come to help you heal. They come to regulate their own discomfort. Your pain becomes like a reference point, a comparison, a relief. As long as you're struggling, they feel stable. As long as you are questioning yourself, they feel certain about themselves. As long as you are wounded, they feel superior to you. Even if they would never say it out loud. They listen, they ask questions, they nod, they say they care. But they are not listening to support you. They are listening to reassure themselves. And that is one of the most dangerous forms of emotional proximity. It is. And I've learned it the hard way. But it was all for the best. Why do I say that it's the most dangerous form? Well, it looks like care, but it's not. It's consumption. They don't want your healing. They don't. They want access to your wounds, because when you start healing, really healing, when you begin to stand upright, when your voice becomes calmer, when your boundaries becomes clearer, something changes. You no longer feed the dynamic they were comfortable in. You're healing destabilizes them. And then that's when their behavior shifts. They become distant, uncomfortable, sometimes even critical or dismissive, but who cares? They weren't really there for you in the first place. They just acted like it. And you have no idea how many people just act like it. How many people just feel happy when you're unhappy. We live in this disturbed world, really. I couldn't fake not caring for someone. I don't know. And you never did something wrong. The truth just becomes too painful for them. Because some people just need you to stay broken so they can feel good about themselves. And that's not our responsibility. It's not. We have to cut them loose. Because sometimes when we're in pain, we're more accessible, more open, more available, and you want to explain yourself all the time and more, and you tolerate more than you should. And people who just need to feel needed are very comfortable in that space. But healing changes that. Healing makes you quieter, less reactive, less available. And that's where discernment begins. Because healing, like I said before, it doesn't just soften you, it clarifies. It clarifies you. It teaches you the difference between someone who listens, who really listens to lift you, and someone who listens to feed themselves. And understanding this it's maturity. It's maturity. And don't get me wrong, healing didn't make me colder. Not at all. I'm still same jazz with a soft heart and a sensibility that I learned to appreciate. But healing made me clear. I didn't shut down emotionally. I didn't. I simply stopped giving access to everyone. I stopped it. I don't give them access to my thoughts anymore, my wounds, or even my softness. Because I learned something essential. Giving everything to everyone, it's not generosity. It's self-abandonment. And for a long time, I believed that being open was like the same as being loving. That availability was proof of kindness. available for just everyone. But no, no. Healing taught me that access must be earned. It must be earned, or we will make the same mistakes again. Access must be earned, and not through perfection or words or whatever, through reciprocity. I've become so much more selective who I talk to, who I listen to, who I share with. And not out of fear. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I know what's in my heart. And God knows what's in my heart. But I became more selective out of self-respect. I don't want to be completely exhausted again, or drained. I choose solitude. I choose solitude. I choose solitude over false connection. I choose silence. I choose silence over emotional noise. Being alone no longer scares me. I can do anything alone. I can do everything alone. Being alone doesn't scare me anymore. Because I enjoy my own presence. The healed version of Jazz, I enjoy her. I like her. I like her a lot. I like this woman I am becoming. And I trust her judgment. And I trust her peace. And I trust her need for peace. Now I only share myself with people who listen without taking, who give without calculating, who stay without feeding on my fragility, or who make effort. Those who make effort, no excuses. Because access without reciprocity is not intimacy, it's extraction. And I no longer want to participate in that. Nope, don't want to anymore. Because healing also taught me that you don't need many people. You just need the right ones. My circle became so small. Even though I have a page on Instagram for my podcast now, and my circle became so small. Can't even explain it. And I also don't have the urge to be understood by everyone anymore. I just want to be respected. I've been through a lot of shit, and I worked on myself, and this is who I am now. And I don't care if you understand or not. I don't need to explain my peace. I just need to protect it at all costs. And that's where this healing journey leads you. Not to isolation, but more alignment. Alignment with yourself, with who you really are. I said I choose solitude, but I'm not lonely. It's not loneliness. It's inner stability. And it didn't make me harsh or cold, but it built one hell of a strength inside of me. A quiet strength. One I didn't have before. I didn't. So no, not everyone deserves access to your healing. And that doesn't make you distant. It makes you discerning. Because distance is not rejection. It's it's just obedience. And silence is not emptiness. It's just this alignment that you're trying to build with yourself. And peace, salam, is not meant to be explained. It's meant to be protected. Because I'm not closing my heart, but I'm only placing it where it will be safe. And I think that's wisdom. Thank you all for listening. And thank you for honoring what is sacred, what is healing, and what is no longer available.